Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. The last time I spoke to you, I was looking back at it, was like 2019. That's pretty insane, dude. Like it's been
Okay.
a long time.
Yeah, yeah, it has.
Yeah, man. That like the pandemic didn't even happen yet. That's
No,
very interesting.
yeah, right before.
Yeah, man. Let's go back to that moment, man. Like, you just got off the Contender Series, the pandemic hits. Like, what was your situation during that time?
Right when the pandemic hit, I was just got married. Was just having my first kid, like right in the middle
Mhm.
of all of it. 2020. It was a crazy time. It was
Yeah,
a crazy time.
yeah, yeah, for sure, man. But you still fought that year. That's
Yeah, yeah. I was just trying to stay active. No,
mhm.
try not to take
Yeah.
any time
Well,
off.
h- how was it dealing with all of that? You know what I mean? With all of this, all of that. I don't know. I don't want to get into like the COVID and all that. But how was it dealing with it? Because having a baby during that time wasn't like it was a very stressful time for a lot of people.
Yeah, I felt like there was definitely extra stress for having a kid in the middle of it. Dealing with who can come to the hospital and just being around people with COVID when you have a newborn
Mhm.
child. You try to keep them away from pandemics and stuff like that. It was definitely an extra challenge. We definitely
Mhm.
were more homebodies and just kind of did the best of it. Got our walks in the park, and training was a whole thing for anyone fighting during 2020. Actually, when COVID happened, I was scheduled to fight in Canada. Like
Mhm.
that got canceled because the borders got closed and everything. I was actually my first fight after Contender Series, I believe, was going to be in Canada, and that kind of shut that down. And ended up fighting later on in the year, still though.
Yeah, there was a few fights that got canceled during that time, and yeah, man, like, what was the training like for you that time? Because when you think about it, like when Dan Hooker was talking about how he was fighting during the pandemic, he didn't even have training camps. He would just fly to places. It's pretty wild that he just fly and just fight.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of behind closed doors training still going on, around
Mhm.
my neck of the woods. We did what we could. I mean, there wasn't a lot of bodies, but we still drilled, and we still got somebody in. We just found our
Mhm.
way around the restrictions and whatnot. I don't believe it was as bad for us as it was for Dan Hooker down in New Zealand. I think. Yeah,
Yeah, he had like newspapers and stuff hiding in the bushes trying
yeah,
to take pictures.
yeah. There was definitely. You just had to be cautious about your training. There was a lot of training going on at people's houses.
And since the condensers, you had a few fights. I mean, you're 500 basically, 3-3 since then.
Yep.
Um, the development throughout the years and taking these fights and getting the experience, man. What can you say about the run so far?
I mean, I definitely feel like I'm a completely different fighter since the Contender Series. I believe I was a boy then. Now I'm a man. I've been through. I mean, 5 of those 6 fights have gone all 3 rounds, and not always my way, 3-3, right? But I managed to stay healthy. I never really took any damage quite like I did at Contender Series, so that was always
Yeah.
a plus. Look going forward was like as long as I still have my health, everything's good. I'm learning every fight and getting better, and I feel like I've just been progressing and kind of been forged in the fire a little bit since then. I've had a lot of hard rounds, a lot of good rounds.
Yeah, the experience is so important because you didn't really have that many fights entering the contender series.
No, no, I think I was 5-0 going into Contender Series.
Yeah, you see a lot of guys that are undefeated even now. You know what I mean, 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, or whatnot, and entering the contender series and kind of facing what you faced. What kind of advice can you give to those guys that kind of like went through what you went through, and now they're at that point where like they're coming off a loss in the contender series?
I just look at it kind of like you're being forged in the fire. I
Mhm.
mean, what harder way is there to be forged than go on Contender Series and get beat up pretty bad, and still stay on top of it, take your time to recover, and get right back on the saddle, work your way back there. And it's just kind of a choice on you. Are you going to quit after a hard loss, even though you were undefeated, amateur and pro, or you going to prove, you can take a loss and come back stronger?
And in the last couple of years, any major hurdles? Not outside the cage.
No, these last couple years have actually been, I'd say, some of the best years for my training and everything. Like, I really got it dialed in a lot more these past, 2 to 3 years, I would say. And, just nutrition, diet, training regimen, everything. I just I feel like I've rised on all levels of just fitness, nutrition, and everything. I just feel like it took me a while to get a hang of it, but I've made major changes. Every camp, dialed things in. So no, these past few years, no hurdles, man. Everything's been really good. Everything's been going well.
What was your diet like before you switched it up?
Uh, I don't know. I just thought that I kind of went on a tangent a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, I mean it's all gone good. There's really been no hurdles, man. Just working to get our spot back. I love fighting for the LFA now. They're an
Mhm.
awesome organization. Treat their fighters really well. I'm excited to be back. I figured after that last performance, we would have open doors to come back.
Yeah, the last two performances actually, they've been against pretty good competition, guys with like way more experience than you. Well, the last guy was very similar experience, but the guy before that, I mean, and this guy coming up, dude, he has like 26 fights. That's a
Yeah,
pretty good opponent to
yeah,
have.
yeah. No, that's the fun part. I get a really seasoned, experienced opponent next who's been in the war many times. Like he's tough as nails. I've watched the footage. This guy
Mhm.
gives everybody a good fight, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, you need those types of fights, right? You don't want like walkover fights.
No, I mean that's never really been my path. I've never
Mhm.
really just took duds. I mean if you look at my record, all my guys they've got good records. They're pretty good records, the most of them, and I think this is another good test for everybody to see what I can overcome.
Outside of the record and the experience, what do you think of Jacob Bohn, like his fighting style?
Uh, he seems to be a really tough guy.
Mhm.
I mean, he always brings the fight to you. He's always down for a dogfight or a grappling match. He's well rounded, and I think it's gonna make for a really good fight. But I think it's just gonna come down to I want it a lot more than he does, and I think that's gonna show in the fight.
Do you think you guys gonna be more, in the grappling realm or in the striking, or do you feel like it's just gonna be all over the place?
I think there's definitely gonna be a bit of both. I think there's
Mhm.
definitely gonna be a bit of striking and a bit of grappling. I don't think it's gonna be either one or the other. I think it's gonna be both.
What do you prefer though?
Um, uh, I don't want to give away too much, but
Yeah.
I think I mean I'm happy with either way. I'm happy getting a finish standing, or getting
Mhm.
a finish on the ground. That's what I'm gonna be looking for the whole time. Is I'm either gonna finish him on the feet or I'm gonna finish him when he shoots.
And going back to your LFA debut against Landry Ward, you got the unanimous decision victory and 15 minutes of just going in there and trying to implement a game plan. Like with the game plan that you had and some of the things that you prepared in camp, what was some things that worked against him?
Um, Hand speed.
Mhm.
I knew I watched how he moved, and I knew that I had the speed to catch him when I needed to. And sure enough, we found out early in the first round that I was right, and we just kind of stuck with it. We're like, all right, you can touch his face. You have the speed to get him, and so I just kind of stuck that through. It's like, all right,
Mhm.
this is working. That's what we're gonna do. There was a couple plan B's and C's, but we just kind of went with, all right, plan A is working.
And the fight before that against CJ Hunter, like that one, like were there certain things that from that fight that you were able to build up on and enter into the next one against Landry Ward?
Yeah, yeah, because there's not a lot of footage out there on that fight, but
Mhm.
that was a fight where maybe if had Landry Ward had watched, he probably would have noticed that my hands were finding their spot in that
Mhm.
fight because I landed about at least 10 good right hands in the first round on that, and pretty much won that fight with my striking as well, and there was a couple good grappling exchanges in that fight from both of us, and yeah, I think that fight was the game plan was kind of keep it standing. That guy was more of a grappler. He liked submission. He was slick with his submissions. He had chokes from everywhere. So it was like not don't play to his strengths.
And as you develop your striking, right? And then you're talking about the accuracy of your strikes, like you're landing more, probably landing on the spots that you want to land on as well. Like, what does that feel like, dude? Like in the fight, like when you're like piecing someone up, like that feeling must be tremendous.
Uh, yeah, man. I'm just trying to be like Max Holloway out there,
Uh,
man. I just wanna look like Max out there. That's what I'm going for, man.
you're
Uh,
gonna scream, "I'm the best boxer in the
yeah,
MMA."
yeah, yeah. I'm coming for that record. I'm coming for
Yeah.
that strike record.
And you mentioned that you've like dialed things in and you've made some changes throughout the years, like the camp that you have now. Can you, delve into like the coaches and the training partners that you have that prepare you?
Yeah, man, I have a lot of awesome people behind me that help me, every day come in and we drill what we need to drill. Like
Mhm.
we're constantly just repetition, getting our repetition, and I really get a lot of individual one-on-one training. Training out of smaller gyms with coaches who really don't have MMA gyms. They kind of just give me a lot of themselves, and I just feel like it's really been paying off lately. Like I get a lot of one-on-one work with my coaches a lot, and I got some training partners. We pull people from all over that come in and help me out, give me the looks I need, and I'm really grateful for the support and people that have been helping me get ready for these fights.
Is the area that you're from, I mean, is it a large MMA community or is it kind of like a close knit, like it's very,
It's
limited?
close knit. Like there's a lot. I mean, I'd say it's large and close knit. Everyone
Mhm.
here know all the MMA gyms know each other, and are cordial with each other for the most part. And but there's a lot of MMA gyms around here, and I go to them sometimes for
Mhm.
cross training and stuff just to get different looks. We got a lot of different gyms out here, boxing gyms, Muay Thai gyms, and being a close knit group, they all are pretty welcoming to me. I've showed my respect, and they give me a lot of respect too. So I got a lot of good gyms out here.
Yeah, how important is it to have a team that allows you to like kind of go around and cross train, you know, often? Because some gyms, man, they're kind of, they're still kind of like old school where like, hey, you only come here and that's it.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like I've kind of been able to dodge that bullet lately
Mhm,
by not really representing one big MMA gym. Like we're syndicate or something. You
mhm,
represent us. To me, I don't really have this one big gym that I have to represent. I have these small gyms that work with me and that I cross train with. That they know who my main coaches are because I'm with them. 90% of the time, but the other 10% of the time, they're welcoming to have me, and
mhm.
I feel like I kind of get to dodge a bullet a little bit on that, but you experience that everywhere. It's just whose flag are you gonna fly?
Yeah, but you gotta find, because this is at the end of the day, it's kind of like an individual sport. So like you gotta find the formula that makes, everything possible for you, right? And yeah,
Uh,
you have the coaches that allow that.
And I think that's the best thing. You want the coaches that want what's best for you. If
Mhm.
it's gonna make you better, that's what they want. They want you to get better, whatever it takes. And that's how I feel like my coaches are. Whatever it takes to help me out and just succeed more.
And man, you've won back to back. This is, three in a row is a pretty good streak, man. What are your expectations in this fight out of yourself?
I expect to put on a performance to get noted, make a statement, show them I've hit my stride now. I'm ready for a big shot somewhere, and you know just make a statement, man.
Are you
Trying to be on another level.
are you looking like at the bigger promotions, or are you just looking at like, okay, this is the next fight? Like I'm not even thinking about LFA titles or nothing like that.
I mean, I was hopeful for a contender series. I had
Mhm,
a few. Was hoping for a last minute call. Had an opportunity or two actually, but
mhm.
just wasn't able to take it. And I think contender series just wrapped up. So my plan for this is keep working my way up the LFA ranks and stay ready if the UFC needs somebody. I think I'm a entertaining guy to watch fight, and if I could step up on short notice for somebody,
Mhm.
call me.
And one last thing, man. They're like in November, they're gonna implement or they're gonna have some rule changes in MMA, right? The unified rules will change, and now you have 12 to 6 elbows will be legal now. Like you don't have to worry about that, and then also a grounded opponent the definition of that changes? How do you think that will impact fights?
I don't think it's gonna be a big difference, too much.
Mhm.
I mean, people are gonna know they can't play the game on the hand anymore or on the ground, and I think that's the biggest change. Is you can't be touching the ground, trying not to get kneed in the face, and I think I think people will adjust well, and they'll accept the consequences if they don't. I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal. The 12-6, will just it'll be nice. I like the 12 to
Mhm.
6. I like 12 to 6.
Do you feel like there's any like rules that are just dumb?
I do wish you could kick somebody in the face if your back's on the ground. I can't tell you how many times I've been on my back in a fight and just like, man, if I could just up kick you right in the face, it
Yeah.
change things. But that's a rule I wish I could change. If I had one rule, that would be it.
All right, man. Maybe they will, man. You never know. This is a
Makes sense.
evolving
That
game.
guy's got gravity on his side. You're on your back.
Mhm,
You should be able to,
mhm.
kick someone in the face from your back. It would probably make for a lot less boring fights, I think.
Yeah. Well, they always say less interference from the referee, the better for the fighters,
Yeah. Yeah, they
right?
talk about not standing them up if it gets boring. I'm like, well, then at least let me kick them in the face
Yeah.
if that's what the case is.
Or knee him in the face, right? If you're on top.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. There you go, man. We might. Hey, you never know. In a couple of years, it might happen, and we'll be like, "Hey, we talked about that,
That's my
whatever." Right?
hope.
Uh,
My
yeah, yeah. I hope so too.
future MMA.
Yeah. October 18th, man. LFA 194, Niagara Falls, New York. You been to Niagara Falls before?
No, man, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a
Excited.
trippy place, man. The
Yeah,
falls are crazy.
yeah.
But
I'm
yeah, man.
up there. I'm
Lance,
gonna
thank you
do it.
for taking the time and all the best in the upcoming fight. And hopefully, we'll see you in whatever arena, in the future, maybe even next year.
All right, man. I appreciate it.